Good evening, everyone. I'm Ron Trevino. These children first came to Houston after crossing the border. Janelle Bluta joins us live. She spoke with a pastor who was running that shelter. Janelle.
Well, Ron, that last bus left around 7 o'clock this evening. There are no longer any children inside this facility tonight. Now, the group here that was helping to house them says this all happened suddenly and without warning. After only 16 days of offering shelter to hundreds of unaccompanied minors, girls ages 13 to 17, the NACC emergency intake site is empty.
The girls are crying today because they're leaving. They're like, we don't want to go.
Pastor Jose Ortega with NACC Houston, a nonprofit that helps in disaster relief, says they were doing the federal government a favor when they agreed to become an emergency shelter for more than 450 children.
All the girls, they started bringing buses in immediately without even us being prepared.
But all of a sudden, it was over. He says because of disagreements over contractors.
It's just been a nasty, nasty experience.
In a statement, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services says the children will be immediately unified with sponsors or transferred to an appropriate refugee resettlement facility, saying they are being moved to ensure continuity of care under conditions that meet their strict standards. Today, Fiel Houston, a nonprofit that advocates for immigrant rights, called the facility subpar.
The conditions that we saw inside of the center were not the most appropriate or the best conditions for anybody to be in, much less kids, much less young girls.
But Pastor Ortega maintains the conditions they offered were some of the best.
The girls were excited. The girls were having fun. The girls were showered, attended to.
Houston Mayor Turner says the White House called him today to tell him the facility was closing, telling him it was no longer needed. But Pastor Ortega says he would open again if it is.
Yes, I would absolutely house whoever he's housing.
Well, we're told there was an incident here last night. EMS had to be called to the scene. Pastor Ortega says to help an adult worker, but he says it has nothing to do with the children or the reason why they were moved. Ron?
Janelle Bluta reporting live. Thank you so much, Janelle. And we reached out to Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee, who toured the site a number of times and has described the conditions as comfortable. Here's what she told us tonight over the phone.
The temporary shelter needs that they had when they opened NACC have been fortunately modified because they have reunited 130 of the youngsters happily with their families, and they were able to find permanent beds for those who are going to take much longer.